Okay, Dynaudio Music 1. This is the blue version, but it comes in 4 colors. So it comes in the other colors behind me: red, dark gray, and light gray. I'd do the dark gray if I were you. But the Music 1 is their little, I guess this can be called wireless because it has a battery. So it'll last for 8 hours on a full charge. You can connect via AirPlay 2, Bluetooth app decks, Apple AAC. These will accept up to 24-bit, 96 kilohertz. But I'm not really sure how you're going to get that to this because nothing really wirelessly connects 24-bit 96 kilohertz. So what you're likely going to do is you're going to connect this to your Wi-Fi network. You're going to you'll want to go check out the overview video where Bryce shows us how to do that on the main music video that we made. The key here, though, is that you can get 24-bit 44.1 kilohertz over AirPlay 2, so you can stream, high-res audio from Tidal or Spotify or whatever else you're using. I'm not sure anybody using anything other than that. I guess Apple Music, but Apple Music and Pandora are well below that in quality. So I just wanted to show you what these things were like, what it will look like in a box. These have USB and 3.5 millimeter auxiliary input. The USB would really be so you can just plug your phone in while it's plugged into the wall and charge it. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, but some people are babies and don't have the phone charged. And then you have the power source. And the Music 1 is the only one of the Music line that has a little box. So you have your little power supply box, then it has I guess a braided fabric cable, kind of a nice, decent cable for power cord. But that one does need to be plugged in to charge the battery. I like this little guy for like a bathroom. I guess you could use it in the kitchen. It has a single 1-inch silk dome tweeter and a single 4-inch woofer, 40 watts per channel. So it's a little Class D amplifier, I'm sure. I'm guessing. It doesn't state whether it's a Class D. It's certainly not an AB. So I think it's a Class D. These are made in China to Dynaudio spec. But the coolest thing about these, I think, is that you're getting the same tech. You're getting the same dudes, the same guys that make the $45,000 pair of Dynaudio Confidence, the Confidence 50s. They're $45,000 a pair, and a $350 little compact guy. Now I know that this is crazy expensive for a little compact speaker, but I just think it sounds better. But to disclaim here for you, to help you understand what you're getting, Dynaudio uses silk dome tweeters, and if you're used to bright horn loaded, titanium horn speakers or beryllium or titanium dome speakers, just know that this is going to be quite a bit smoother. It's going to sound muffled when you first get it, but I promise you, this is like calibrating your TV as if you were looking out the window. You don't want it to be overly contrasty or too saturated of colors. Same thing with a speaker. I think you want it to sound like it's supposed to sound, not have a bunch of bass and a bunch of boom and a bunch of bright. But if you are a dude that has a tough time hearing high frequencies, these are going to sound a little thin for you. They're not going to sound as bright as you might like. So I did want to show you what it comes like, what it looks like in the box. You actually get, when you get it, I think they give you a 1-year subscription of Tidal. So there's a little code in here, and you get a subscription to Tidal. And then I think you can choose, if I remember correctly, when I did it, I just chose the high-res option. I think it bumped it down to like 4 months or something like that, because of their base subscription is $10 a month. Their high-res option is more expensive at $20 a month. So when you get it from us, it'll come in a box like this with a UPS label on it, and then it has this nifty little box. It comes in I know this doesn't really matter for specs, but I want to know when I'm buying a $350 speaker. This is the blue version of it. They give you all the dimensions and everything to show you, how big the speaker is. But they're packed incredibly well. And I'm a sucker for this kind of packaging. And so when you get it, there's a box inside of a box inside of a box. And so when it comes with a 3.5 millimeter little headphone type jack. The power supply that I showed you earlier comes in this little box. And then it comes styrofoam packed in the typical Dynaudio, really cool fabric covering to make sure that it shows up to you without getting jacked up. So I'd be shocked if UPS messes one of these things up. Box inside of a box with boxes inside of that box, and then styrofoam. I want my pressure washers to be packed this way, and they probably show up without being damaged as much. And so that's what it looks like when you get it, which I'm always interested in. You get an instruction pack. I wouldn't even waste my time opening it because it doesn't really tell you much. It gives you a quick setup guide, which you really won't need. What you'll want to do is go to the Dynaudio site, and we'll link it. It'll be linked in the description of the product, but you'll want to go to the site and download or just pull up their instruction manual, because the instruction manual in here is useless. Or, even better, just search Dynaudio music on the Obsessed Garage channel, and Bryce and Mike will have us all worked out on exactly how to set it up. It took me a little while to figure out how to get the thing to connect, how to do the firmware updates and all that stuff. So we have a instructional video showing you how to do that. But size and scale, just to give you, what do I do with my tape measure? Oh, put it back here. Just to give you an idea. It's about 10 inches by, 9 inches or so, just to give you a scale-wise. I use these almost exclusively with Tidal. You can use Spotify. If I were you, I'd start to transition away from Pandora and Apple Music. The quality on Spotify is just so much better. And then Tidal is even better than that. I have a subscription to both Tidal and Spotify. I like the interface for Spotify better, but if I am listening to something critically, I'll use Tidal if I'm listening to something that has some decent sound quality to it. Certain, like a female vocalist or something that isn't screaming rock. I'll go over to Tidal and listen to it that way. So that's the Music One. It's $349, and I think it's pretty cool. I would almost always prefer to have the bigger one if I could swing the extra cash, but this does serve a purpose. I don't know that I would say that this would fill up your garage, but you can run these in a stereo configuration as well through the Dynaudio Setup and Connect app. You can pair them in stereo, just two, but you can have them all play the same thing in mono. And I think an endless configuration. You can drag them in 3, 4, 5 at a time. It wouldn't make sense. I would just buy a bigger one. But if you did want to run a stereo pair of these, you could, with not a lot of functionality on the one for connecting to TVs and stuff like that. You only have the 3.5 millimeter auxiliary headphone input. So that's the Music One. And again, I would suggest getting it in gray, dark gray, but we do stock it in all the colors. The other thing that I failed to mention on these is that they do have room adapt and noise adapt. So inside of the Dynaudio Setup and Connect app, you can turn on their DSP functionality. I tend to keep them off. But if you have a noisy room or you have some environment where it just doesn't sound quite right, you can go into the settings in the Dynaudio Setup and Connect app. I actually run these a little bit, a tick down in bass and 2 ticks up in treble. It just depends on what your room sounds like. But I would go in and play with the different settings and see what sounds best to you. But know that there are ways to go into when you're in the app and you're connected via Wi-Fi, that you can go in and adjust the sound settings of this. But yeah, Music One, pretty sweet little guy. I think I'd choose the 3 in almost all environments over this, but there are some situations where having the small little guy makes sense at $350.